Good morning.
Now I want to create a timeline for what happened, what you saw on August 30th, okay?
Please do.
You arrested the defendant at 8:16, right?
That is correct.
You told us on direct examination that you were in J.C. Longstreet's office when you heard a commotion outside at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
At 8 o'clock, that's when you heard the commotion, you went outside.
That's correct.
And then you began to follow as a chasing suit.
Yes.
So between 8 o'clock and 8:16, you followed the person that was running from the security guard
Mm-hmm.
into the tunnel of terror,
Yes.
proceeded to interview the witness, or interview Whit Bowman,
Yes.
found the text message,
Mm-hmm.
assumed it was from Cameron Poole at that point in time.
At that point in time, yes. Ask him. Yes, I did believe that was Cameron Poole.
So between 8 o'clock and 8:16, you went from believing that Cameron Poole was the one that was stealing money from the company to Whit Bowman, right?
Well, that was more because Whit Bowman offered contradictory statements, self-contradictory statements, in fact, about first Whit Bowman claimed no ownership to the phone, and then Whit Bowman claimed that the phone was Whit Bowman's. And then, once I read the phone's text messages, these text messages were incriminating. Therefore, I arrested Whit Bowman, not because Whit Bowman definitely committed the crime, but rather on suspicion.
I didn't ask you why you did it. I asked it if you did it. You
Yes.
jumped from Cameron Poole to Whit Bowman between 8 o'clock and 8:16, right?
Absolutely.
In 16 minutes.
That was all the time.
You saw a text message and you interviewed the defendant. That's all you did.
I then proceeded to interview several other witnesses, of course.
Well, before, you didn't actually interview the witnesses before you arrested Whit Bowman, did you?
Well, I couldn't go and interview other witnesses and potentially let him get away like Cameron Poole did.
So you arrested Whit Bowman with just the information from the text message and Whit Bowman.
If I did not find more incriminating evidence, I would have let him go free.
Now, what you learned from Whit Bowman was that she had been untruthful.
Yes.
You actually heard that there was a gunshot, right?
Yes, there was a gunshot.
And Whit Bowman said that she hit the wrong button, right?
I believe it is a blue lever located in a different place than the red emergency stop button.
She told you that she hit a wrong switch, right? A lever.
Yes, that is what occurred.
Now, I want to talk about some of the conclusions you came up here and told us today, okay?
Sure.
One of the conclusions was that you thought that Whit Bowman was helping Cameron Poole steal money from the rock dealer, right?
I believe so.
You thought that Whit Bowman was helping Cameron Poole distribute fake wristbands.
Yes, through my interviews with other members of the park, this is what I was able to come to.
Right. Now, you relied on what you saw and what you learned from those interviews to come to that conclusion, right?
That's what you said.
Right. So I want to go over first what you saw. You saw what happened on August 30th, right?
Yes.
And you visited the park several times, right?
Yes, over the course of the month of my investigation.
So from what you saw, did you ever see the defendant handle out any wristbands to any customers during that 2012 season?
I don't believe Whit Bowman was one who was operating the ticket stand itself, and we do not believe that Whit Bowman was one who was selling these wristbands, of course, rather than Whit Bowman was one who was helping Cameron Poole with the purchase of these wristbands.
Maybe my question wasn't clear. From what you saw, did you ever see the defendant handle out any wristbands that summer?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
Your Honor, the witness didn't answer the question.
You may continue that inquiry one more time.
Yes, sir. From what you saw, yes or no, did the defendant handle out any wristbands to any of the customers?
Personally, she did not.
Did she handle out or take any money from any customers from what you saw?
Take any money, I don't believe right operators do that.
Now, you also said you relied on the interviews that you used to come to that conclusion as well, right?
Of course.
Now, you interviewed all the employees at Rockshore,
Not all, but all from ones.
all the ones that told you that they had saw something.
Yes, of course.
Now, what they told you was what they saw on August 30th.
Yes, as well as some had some information with the events leading up to August 30th.
So I want to make something clear.
Sure.
All the people you interviewed, none of them told you they saw the defendant handling out any wristbands to any of the customers?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay is to what all these unnamed park employees told him.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, today he came up here and concluded that the defendant helped Cameron Poole distribute these wristbands. He was acting as an expert, testifying to a conclusion. I'm allowed to delve into what he used to come to that conclusion, and that is exactly what I'm doing. And I'm allowed to do that pursuant to Rule 703.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Opposing counsel is more than welcome to go into the facts in a expert's conclusion. However, those facts themselves still must be admissible. The facts that he's referring to are hearsay. They're out-of-court statements made by unnamed, as of yet unnamed declarants, and they're not admissible.
I'll allow it only for the limited purposes, serving as a basis for this, this witness's opinion, but I agree with
Yes, Your Honor.
prosecution that this cannot be used substantively for the truth of the matter asserted.
Right, rather than- Yes, Your Honor.
That understanding, he may answer.
From the witnesses that you interviewed,
Yes.
none of them told you they saw the defendant handing out any wristbands to any customers.
Yes, none of them told me that.
None of the witnesses told you they saw Whit Bowman handing out any money to any customer, handling any money from any customers.
Of course not. This is not what we are alleging Whit Bowman did.
None of them actually mentioned that Whit Bowman even had a conversation between Cameron Poole. None of them overheard a conversation between Whit Bowman and Cameron Poole where they were talking about stealing money from this company.
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like to renew my objection to hearsay as to whether or not this is going towards the truth of the matter asserted. It is my opinion that this is being offered to prove that these statements were not in fact made, which would be going towards their truthfulness, because otherwise I would question what the relevance of this line of questioning is.
What is Well, he told us that he came to these conclusions with two things. What he saw in the interviews that he took place. If none of that information comes to the conclusion that he should have been able to come to that, that's exactly what I'm delving into, and that's exactly how it's relevant. If he came to the conclusion, which he had no right to, with the information that didn't tell him that this is actually what happened, I'm allowed to delve into that information.
May I respond?
Yes.
Opposing counsel is attempting to use the truthfulness or untruthfulness of statements made by other people to attempt to contradict what Officer Kimball has said today. Therefore, these are being offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted and are admissible.
Your Honor, they're being offered to refute this officer's testimony. He told us something, relied on information, and the information tells us something completely different. The same information he relied on.
You can confront a witness in cross-examination with contrary facts. And again, it goes to the credibility of this statements and opinions. But again, we're not going to make substantive use of this information. Continue.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we'll have a lot more of this.
No, this is the last part, Your Honor. All the people you interviewed, none of them told you that they overheard conversations between Whit Bowman and Cameron Poole where they were talking about stealing money from the company, right?
No, if you're wondering why I arrested Whit Bowman, it was mainly on the robbery one charge. Now, because he helped Cameron Poole escape, I was able to ascertain that he may have had something to do with the theft by deception as well. Now, this is for the court to decide.
So you assume, is that what you're telling us?
Of course not.
Now I want to talk about a little bit why you're here. Now, you were initially hired for this investigation by a friend.
That was more of a favor.
It was a favor, as you just said. The person that actually asked you to look into this investigation was the owner of Rock to World, right?
Yes.
Someone you have been friends with for several years now.
I actually worked for J.C. Laundry before I was an officer. I moonlighted as a security guard for the bar.
You even worked for him.
Yes.
Also, you knew Winston Thomas, right?
Yes, he actually served on the force with my father.
Now, to be clear, Winston Thomas was the security guard that was hit by the tunnel.
Yes.
And when you were following Cameron Poole, you saw that someone else was chasing him, right?
That is correct.
You saw that it was Winston Thomas when you got him.
Yes.
When you saw Winston Thomas lying on the ground, your heart stopped.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't upset.
You were scared.
I was scared. I wasn't particularly scared, but I was concerned that he might be in serious danger.
You wanted someone to be held responsible for what just happened to Winston Thomas.
I want somebody to be held responsible for the robbery that took place. At this point, it was clear that something had gone terribly wrong.
Maybe my question wasn't clear. You wanted someone to be held responsible for what just happened to Winston Thomas, yes or no?
No.
Is it your testimony that you didn't want someone held responsible for this?
I did want someone held responsible for the robbery that had occurred, not for what happened to Winston Thomas.
Your work, you made an affidavit in this case, right?
Of course.
You would recognize that affidavit if I showed it to you today?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that I'm approaching this witness with the document.
Yes.
Officer, this is the document, this document that I just handed you is your affidavit.
Yes.
It's a fair and accurate document.
Indeed.
You were told to be true.
And I was.
You were under oath.
Of course.
Now I want to direct your attention to page 5. Line 102. Now read silently as I read it. I couldn't help but think about the night my dad died. Working a robbery just like this with Winnie, and I knew I had to hold someone accountable for this. I read that correctly.
Of the 102 through 104?
Yes, sir.
You did read that correctly.
Let the record reflect that I'm approaching the witness.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay, this has been an improper impeachment. No contradictory statement has been elicited from the witness to what their testimony was today.
Response? Yes, Your Honor. The witness said that he wanted to hold someone responsible for the robbery. In fact, the statement that was in his affidavit said exactly otherwise, which is why I impeached the witness. It was a contradictory statement. He said he wanted to hold someone accountable for the robbery? No. He wanted to hold someone accountable for what happened to Winston Thomas, a former partner of his father. And that's what I read.
Yes.
The line that opposing counsel referred to doesn't say that. It says that he knew that he had to hold someone responsible for a robbery that was similar to one that his father had reported. He said that he wanted to hold somebody responsible for a robbery. If anything, this line from the affidavit only goes to support what the witness said on the stand, not contradict it in any way. This has been an improper impeachment.
Your Honor, this is up to Your Honors and Your Honors whether this statement itself was contradictory. That's weight. If you believe that the testimony that I elicited from the witness's affidavit was contradictory to what the witness said, is to the weight of the testimony, not the admissibility.
May I respond on those grounds, Your Honor?
That was good last time. Go ahead.
If this is being, opposing counsel says that this is being offered for the weight, however, my objection is to the admissibility of this. If you find that this has not been a proper impeachment or decide that it doesn't have the weight that opposing counsel does, then this is hearsay and is inadmissible.
I'm going to let it in. Objection is overruled.
Your Honor, at this time, I have no further questions.
All right.
No redirect, Your Honor.
Yes, my witness.